The Three Billy Goats Gruff. Once there were 3 billy goats whose last name was Gruff. The 3 brothers lived near a river. Across the river was a hillside where the grass was sweet. But the goats had to cross a bridge to get there, and a mean troll lived under it. One day, the brothers decided to cross the bridge. The youngest, smallest billy goat Gruff went first. Trip, trap, went his feet over the bridge. "Who is crossing my bridge?" roared the troll. "It is I, little Billy Goat Gruff," said little Billy in a tiny voice. "I'll gobble you up," shouted the troll. "Please don't," pleaded little Billy. "I'm so little, but here comes my brother, and he is bigger than I am." "Run along," said the troll. "I'll wait for a bigger meal." And little Billy crossed the bridge. The second Billy Goat Gruff went across the bridge. Trip, trap, went his feet. "Who is crossing my bridge?" roared the troll. "It is I, Middle Billy Goat Gruff," said Middle Billy, whose voice was louder than Little Billy's. "I'll gobble you up," shouted the troll. "Please don't," pleaded Middle Billy. "My brother is following me, and he is bigger than I am." The troll was hungry, but he said, "Very well, I'll wait for a bigger meal." And Middle Billy crossed the bridge. Then the oldest, biggest Billy Goat Gruff went across the bridge. Trip, trap, went his feet. The bridge creaked because Big Billy was big and heavy. "Who is crossing my bridge?" roared the troll. "It is I, Big Billy Goat Gruff," said Big Billy in a booming voice. "I'll gobble you up," shouted the troll. "That's what you think," Big Billy replied. The troll got on the bridge. Big Billy lowered his horns and butted that mean troll into the air. Then down the troll fell into the river and was gone. "Goodbye, troll," shouted Big Billy as he crossed the bridge. The 3 Billy Goats Gruff lived happily ever after and crossed the bridge every day to
Elephants. Introducing elephants. African elephants are huge animals, the largest on land. They live in family groups that are led by the oldest female. When a baby is born, all the females help take care of the young elephant. Sisters, aunts, grandmothers, and cousins are all babysitters. The male elephants stay in the family group until they are old enough to leave. Then they go off on their own, or they band together with other males. Quiet movement, loud sounds. Elephants can walk very quietly. How is it possible for such huge animals to move without making a lot of noise? Elephants have wide feet with a thick pad under their heels. This means they really walk on their toes. Even in a group, elephants can move without much sound. But if a herd gets worked up, the elephants will make plenty of loud noise. Elephants make all kinds of sounds. They use their trunks to growl, snort, roar, and trumpet. The sounds they make help them communicate with each other. An elephant's sound may mean, "There's water here," to another elephant. If lions are around, the elephant's sound may mean, "Stay away." Elephants also make sounds that only other elephants can hear. Elephants from miles away can hear these special sounds. Elephant communities. Elephant family groups are on the move a lot, but they travel only as fast as the babies and older elephants can move. Elephants like to rest in the hot part of the day. In the evening, they look for water to drink and to bathe in. Because of their large size, Elephants can easily scare away animals by charging at them. If baby elephants are threatened, the big elephants make a circle around them. This protects the babies from harm. Elephants are interesting animals that have lived on Earth for a long, long time. Today, many people are working to protect elephants. If we care for them and their land, elephants may be around for years to come.
Jack and the Beanstalk. Long ago, a boy named Jack lived with his mother in a tiny cottage. One day, his mother asked him to sell their cow, so Jack took the cow to market, where he met a farmer. "Sell me your cow for these beans," said the farmer. "I cannot sell our cow for beans," replied Jack. "These are special beans," said the farmer. "Plant them, and stalks will grow to the sky." So Jack sold the cow for the beans. However, when he returned home, his mother was furious and tossed the beans out the window. The next morning, Jack saw an enormous beanstalk that reached past the clouds. He climbed the beanstalk and saw a huge house at the top. Two giants, a man and woman, were eating breakfast. The man sniffed the air and said, "Fee, fum, fo, fi, someone's come into the sky." "Nonsense," said his wife. Then they fell asleep. The man had many bags of gold around him. Quietly, Jack took one bag and climbed down the beanstalk. When his mother saw the gold, she was thrilled. After a while, they spent all the gold, so Jack climbed the beanstalk again. This time, he saw the giants with a hen. The man said, "Lay," and the hen laid a golden egg. The man sniffed the air and said, "Fee, fum, fo, fi, someone's here with you and I." "Nonsense," said his wife. Then they fell asleep. Quietly, Jack took the hen and climbed down the beanstalk. His mother loved the hen that laid golden eggs. Time passed, and Jack returned to the giant's house. This time, the giants had a golden harp. When the woman said, "Sing," the harp sang beautifully. While they napped, Jack took the harp. However, the giant man woke up. Jack raced down the beanstalk. The giant followed, but Jack was faster. When he got home, Jack took his axe and chopped down the beanstalk. The giant crashed down through the earth and was never seen again. Jack and his mother lived happily ever after, selling golden eggs and listening to their
Let's explore. Plants and animals make their homes in many different places. Let's explore some of them. Prairie. Picture a land covered in grass. There is grass all around. In some places, the grass is as tall as a person. The weather is usually hot in summer and cold in winter. The tall grass prairie has good soil and gets enough rain for plants, such as wheat and corn, to grow. Many animals live in the prairie. There are birds, insects, and mammals, such as rabbits, foxes, deer, and prairie dogs. Prairie dogs aren't dogs. They're actually ground squirrels that live in underground homes. They're called dogs because they make barking sounds. Tundra. Now imagine a place that's cold and frozen most of the time. There is ice and snow for miles around. The word tundra means treeless land. Although the tundra is treeless, plants grow there. In summer, the top layer of the tundra melts. Pools of water form, and shrubs and grass grow. Few animals live in the tundra because it's so cold. However, reindeer, Arctic foxes, polar bears, and snowy owls make their homes there. Many animals hibernate during the long, cold winter. During the short, cool summer, they give birth to their young. Living in the tundra is hard, but some animals manage to survive in this cold land. Rainforests. Birds squawk, monkeys screech, and tree frogs call. The air is hot. It is raining. Tall trees soar high above your head. You're in a rainforest. A rainforest grows in layers. The bottom layer is the forest floor. Many animals live there, especially insects. Above the forest floor, shrubs and small trees grow. The next layer, near the top, is a leafy green canopy of treetops. This canopy is filled with more animals. Finally, giant trees tower over the whole forest. Rainforests grow all over the world and have more kinds of trees than any other place on Earth. Millions of animals live there, such as colorful butterflies and birds, as well as monkeys, snakes, and jaguars.
Redwood National Forest. What would it be like to be standing in a forest of giant trees? The amazing meadow. How very amazing a meadow can be. Spring, summer, fall, winter, there's so much to see. The meadow's a carpet of flowers in spring, swaying like dancers as meadowlarks sing. In summer, autumn brings leaves, orange, red, yellow, brown, swirling and twirling and floating down, down. In winter, the meadow lies the Sahara Desert. Sand, sand, swirling sand, a sea of swirling sand. No ships, no fish, no seagulls, just miles and miles of sand. Whoosh, whoosh, the lonely wind moans through the vast dry land, carving dunes high as the sky, like islands in a sea of swirling sand.
Swamp life. Swamps are filled with many insects, birds, and animals. How do animals in swamps survive? Welcome, swamp visitors, Ranger Rachel said as she gathered a group of students from Mr. Litton's second grade class around her. Are you ready to listen? Yes, everyone shouted. Ranger Rachel put a finger to her lips. Shh, she said. Let's listen. Danny listened. At first, he heard nothing. No honking cars, no people talking, no loud vehicles, or faraway booming music. I don't hear anything, he said. Ranger Rachel smiled. Now, let's listen again, she said. Danny listened again. Soon, he was hearing sounds. All kinds of sounds. The more he listened, the more sounds he heard. Buzzing, humming, swishing, clicking, croaking, chirping sounds. After a while, Ranger Rachel took her finger from her lips. Can anyone guess what you heard? She asked. I heard a bird singing, Kim said. I may have heard a frog croak, Danny said, but I'm not sure. Ranger Rachel pointed to a pile of twigs and logs and grass and mud in the middle of the swamp. Birds eat berries and seeds, Millie said. That's right, Ranger Rachel said. Some birds also eat worms, insects, and other bugs. What do dragonflies eat? Pedro asked. Ranger Rachel smiled. Dragonflies eat insects and mosquitoes. There are lots of those here. There's plenty of food and water here for everyone. There are plants for the tadpoles. There are seeds, berries, and worms for the birds. Frogs use their long, sticky tongues to capture insects for dinner. The animals all depend on each other to survive in the swamp. Let's listen to the sounds and guess the animals that make them. Chirp, chirp, tweet. I hear a bird, said Tico. Rustle, rustle. That must be a squirrel moving in the bushes, said Danny. Buzz. That's a mosquito, said Millie as she swatted around her head. Everyone laughed. Then the class closed their eyes. They listened to all the humming, buzzing, chirping, singing, swishing, hissing sounds, like a lovely swamp chorus, singing together.
How do we get around? We get around a lot today. Cars, buses, trains, planes, and boats take us anywhere we want to go. What is your favorite way to travel? Many children walk, bike, or take a bus to school. Students in cities sometimes use trains to get to class. City trains and subways also take people back and forth to work. But trains go much farther than just around town. Trains take people across the country. People can sleep in beds on long-distance trains, and they can eat at tables while looking out the windows. Families today often travel by car. Cars are one of the easiest ways to get around. Many cars use gas to make them go. Today, there are also cars on the road that run on electricity. Engineers are always looking for ways to build better cars. Hydrogen-powered cars may be next. If you want to get from one city to another quickly, planes are often the fastest way to go. Because planes fly through the air, they don't have to follow a track or a road. Planes soar across oceans with ease. A person in a plane can go halfway around the world in less than a day. It's fun to spend an afternoon out on a boat, but boats do more than just float around in the water. Cruise ships take people on vacation to interesting parts of the world. Other ships carry goods up and down rivers, across large lakes, and even across the ocean. There are even more ways to travel. Helicopters buzz around cities, taking people to airports or getting sick people to hospitals. Ferries take people and cars across wide stretches of water. People drive small trucks, and big trucks move goods across the land. Look in the air. Look on the road. Look at the water. There are lots of ways to get around.
Families today. How can families work together? Even cleaning can be fun. Sometimes Joan and Billy play music when they clean their rooms. After cleaning for a while, they take 5-minute dance breaks. In the kitchen, Mom cooks most of the time and Dad cleans up. Sometimes they exchange these jobs. The kids are happy because Dad makes pancakes. Special events call for special jobs. When someone in the family is having a birthday, Grandma has the job of baking the birthday cake. Nobody would exchange that job with her. She makes the best cakes. Joan's job is to help, and she never trades that job. Joan's baby sister is about to be born, and everyone has special jobs for the baby. Dad paints the baby's room. Billy helps Dad. Mom and Dad go shopping for a crib and baby clothes. Grandma knits a blanket for the crib. Joan picks out some baby toys. All the jobs get done. Everything will be ready to welcome the new baby. This baby will be lucky to be joining a family where everyone knows how to work together. School around the world. School around the world. What is it like to go to school in another country? How is it the same as going to school in our country? How is it different? Children go to school to learn. That is true all around the world. In many ways, schools everywhere are alike. Children learn from teachers. They learn how to read and write. They learn math. But school is different in some ways for children in other parts of the world. kids may get to school in a different way. Walking and riding a bus are common ways to get to school in the United States. But in other places, children may take a boat to and from school. Lake Titicaca in Peru is one of those places. The children in this picture live on islands in the lake. Several of the islands have schools. The children take a boat from one island to another to get to school. At the end of the day, the children take the boat back home again. Writing is one of the most important subjects kids learn in school. The words we write are made up of letters. The English alphabet has 26 letters. In China, children learn a special kind. Writing is one of the most important subjects kids learn in school. The words we write are made up of letters. The English alphabet has 26 letters. In China, children learn a special kind of writing called calligraphy. That means beautiful writing. The children write using a brush and ink, but they don't make letters. Instead, they make marks called characters. A character stands for part of a word or a whole word. The girl in the picture practices writing characters. There are many characters in the Chinese language. Some Chinese people can write about 4,000 characters. How do children learn to write all those characters? First, they learn to make the lines in each character. Then, they practice writing the characters. Another important subject in school is math, the study of numbers. Another important subject in school is math, the study of numbers. No one knows exactly when the first math ideas were invented. Long ago, people started counting on their fingers or by making marks on the ground. Some early people used small objects to help them count. The objects were made from clay. The shape of the object meant a number. A stick shape might be 1. A round pebble shape might be 10. Children today still use objects to help them count. The children in the picture are using signs to help them count by tens. Their school is in Uganda, Africa. The children are holding signs with the numbers 1 through 10 written on them. They will arrange themselves so that the numbers are in the proper order. The numbers on the blackboard go up to 50. This helps the children see how counting by tens helps you get to bigger numbers. All around the world, recess is a favorite part of the school day. Recess gives children a break from work. They can move around and have fun. Children who have a recess break study better and learn more. In warm places, children can go outdoors for recess most of the time. The children in the big picture go to school in northern Vietnam. They like to play on a swing at recess. The swing is made of a long piece of wood. 2 children can sit on it while other children push the swing. When is it too cold to go outside for recess? The answer to that question depends on where kids live. Teachers recognize how important recess is. They think about what their students are used to and how comfortable they will be outdoors. Children in Alaska are used to cold weather. In many schools in Alaska, if the air is warmer than 20 degrees below zero, then recess is outside. The kids in the smaller picture live in Alaska. They are playing basketball in the snow.
My first day. How can you cooperate with others to get a job done? Am I allowed to trade masks with someone? I asked. After lunch, it was time to rehearse the play. Ken the mouse went on stage first and started searching for a path that would take him home. I came on next and stood behind a tree branch so it would look like I was sitting in the tree. I pretended to be sleeping because owls are nocturnal, so they sleep all day. Then all the other animals came on stage. They were improvising, but they weren't doing what I was going to do. I was going to be the best improviser of all. When the lion tiptoed close to Ken, I hooted one long, loud warning hoot. The little mouse mask looked up at me and escaped. When the tiger prepared to spring at Ken, I hooted two short warnings, and the little mouse scurried out of the way. When the rhino was about to butt him, I gave 3 hoot-hoot-hoots, and Ken hurried down a different path. Everyone clapped when the little mouse finally made it home safely, and when we bowed, the whole audience stood up and cheered loudly. "Thanks for improvising," Ziggy said when the play was over. "You all made your characters so much better. Now that we're a team, we'll have to do another play." It felt good to be part of a team. As I said, my first day of camp was confusing, but it sure turned out to be a good one.
My new school. Have you ever gone to a new school? How was the school the same or different? Dear Emma, after I have changed my shoes, I sit at my desk. Can you guess my very favorite thing to learn? It's writing letters. Japanese characters, or letters, remind me of little designs, so writing is like drawing pictures. I also love. Each week, Mr. Saito assigns some of us to be the cleaning team. This was my week, so my team did the cleaning. After lunch, we cleared the table. Later, we cleaned the classroom, the yard, and the hallways. Cleaning is very important here. As a part of the team, we learn to clean correctly. Then we can help our families at home. We also learn sewing and cooking in school. Mom says that soon I'll be a very good cook. Physical education is fun too. I've played some of the games and sports before, like tug-of-war, tag, baseball, and gymnastics. But others, like karate and fencing, are new and difficult. There are many clubs, too. I joined the beginning violin club and the computer club. I guess that's all. Everyone is very nice here. I've made lots of friends. But it's not the same without you. I have a new email address, so please let's email. That way, we can catch up fast. I miss you. From your friend, Mickey.
City Mouse and Country Mouse. City Mouse and Country Mouse. Based on a fable by Aesop. What is it like to live in the city? How is it different from living in the country? Once upon a time, there was a happy little mouse that lived in the country. One summer, she invited her cousin from the city to come and visit her. When her city cousin arrived, she tried to show him how pleasant and relaxing life in the country could be. They sat on the porch and looked at the stars as they listened to the crickets chirping. They nibbled on delicious country food, such as breadcrumbs, cheese bits, nuts, and berries. "Are you enjoying country life, dear cousin?" the country mouse asked. But the city mouse was not impressed at all with country life. He missed the sounds of taxis and buses. He missed the shops and people walking in the busy streets. In fact, he was quite bored. He replied to his cousin, "You poor thing. Life in the country is much too quiet, and the food is so plain. Dear cousin, come back to the city with me, and I will show you how wonderful life can be. The food in the city is fancy and delicious, unlike any that you have ever tasted." The country mouse wanted to see whether her cousin's life in the city was as grand as he described, so she went back to the city with him. When they arrived, the country mouse was surprised at how noisy the city was. Cars were honking their horns, and there were so many people. She was happy when they went inside a large brick house. The city mouse led the way to the dining room, where the people of the house had already finished eating dinner. There were many wonderful things to eat still sitting on the table. "What a feast!" exclaimed the Country Mouse. Her eyes grew big and round as she gazed at the chicken, potato salad, rich cheeses, strawberries, jellies, and chocolate cake. The Country Mouse began to think her cousin was right, and perhaps she should move to the city. But just as the two were about to eat, a huge cat pounced on the table. "Let's go!" cried the City Mouse as the two mice scurried into a mouse hole. "That big cat lives here," explained the City Mouse to the trembling Country Mouse. "We will have to hide for a while, but we can go back and eat later after he is gone." But the Country Mouse shook her head. She said, "As soon as that cat is gone, I'm going home just as fast as I can. You are welcome to all the fancy food you can eat. As for me, I think it is better to eat simple food in peace and safety." And the Country Mouse went back to her simple life in the country and lived happily and peacefully ever after.
Where do you live? What makes the regions of our country different? The Middle Atlantic region stretches along the Atlantic Ocean. There are beautiful beaches, high mountains, farms, and wilderness. The Midwest region is mostly flat land in the middle of the country. The Midwest is known for its rich soil. The Southwest region spreads over a wide area in the southwest part of the country. Many crops grow in huge fields. The region includes many cities. Phoenix and Tucson are two big cities in Arizona. There are many places of amazing natural beauty, such as the Grand Canyon and the Painted Desert. Thousands of people travel to visit these places each year. The Pacific Coast region borders the Pacific Ocean. It has forests, mountains, and a beautiful ocean coastline. The scenic beauty and warm weather are enjoyed by many people. Farms in the many valleys in this region produce much of the country's produce. The region also has lots of timber and fish. Much business takes place in its large cities. These include San Diego and San Francisco in California. Another big, busy city in the Pacific Coast region is Seattle, Washington. The finding of gold more than 100 years ago caused many people to move to the Pacific Coast. New people have kept moving in ever since. Many now work in the computer business. Each region in our country is a great place to live. Where do you live?
Town rules. City and town governments provide parks for people to enjoy. There are rules for other services towns provide. When people have garbage to throw away, they put it in certain places to be picked up. There are certain days and times to put out trash. In order to drive, residents must apply for a driver's license. A license gives permission to own or do something. First, they study the rules about driving safety. Then they practice driving with a licensed driver. Finally, they take a driving test. When they pass, they get their driving license. And, of course, they must follow driving rules, such as stopping for red lights so you can cross the street. A good government keeps everything running smoothly. Governments make rules to help people get along with one another. The people are expected to obey the rules. In return, the government provides them with a safe place to live.
Our pets. What kinds of pets do you know? How do you care for them? Pets are fun, but they also need good care. Hamsters make excellent pets. Many families keep hamsters as pets, and some classrooms do too. Small, furry hamsters are fun to watch. They love to run on a wheel in their cage. This is how they exercise. Some people put their hamster inside a special ball to exercise it. When the hamster runs inside the ball rolls all around the floor. Pets need the right kind of food to stay healthy. Hamsters eat dry hamster food. They also like fresh fruits and vegetables as treats. They store their food in pouches inside their cheeks. The food makes their cheeks puff out. Sometimes hamsters hide part of their food in their cages. That way they always have a snack. Dogs are friendly and playful, so they are popular. Dogs are friendly and playful, so they are popular pets. They also need plenty of care. A dog's owner must do many things to keep the dog healthy. Dogs need exercise, so owners walk their dogs and play with them. Dogs love to play catch. Most dogs like human food, from table scraps to peanut butter. But too much human food is not good for dogs. They need to eat dog food at every meal. Dogs need to drink lots of water, too. Owners keep their dogs healthy in other ways. They brush their dog's fur and clip its nails. They give the dog medicine to protect its fur from ticks and fleas. These are bugs that can bite dogs. Owners take the dog for checkups with a special doctor called a veterinarian. Sometimes the dog has to have a shot. A dog needs a lot of care, but owners don't mind. They know dogs are wonderful companions. Owners love their dogs, and the dogs love them right back. An iguana is an unusual pet. It is a kind of lizard that An iguana is an unusual pet. It is a kind of lizard that grows very big, up to 6 feet long. Half of that length is its long tail. Iguanas need very special care. Only people who know how to take care of iguanas should keep them as pets. In nature, iguanas live in rainforests and other warm places. To make a pet iguana feel at home, its cage must be kept warm. Iguanas are used to sitting in the sun, so an iguana owner puts a special lamp in the iguana's cage. Iguanas need to eat lots of dark, leafy green vegetables to stay healthy. They need other kinds of food too, such as apples and bananas. Like other pets, iguanas need lots of fresh water. They drink the water, and they also take baths in it. It is important for owners to train their iguanas so the pets are used to being touched. First, the owner just sits by the iguana's cage. Then the owner puts one hand inside. After a while, the owner just touches the pet a bit. In time, the owner can pick the iguana up. A tame iguana might even sit in someone's lap. Like an iguana, a pot-bellied pig is an unusual pet, and like an iguana, this pet needs special care. It is very important to groom this pig. Grooming includes giving the pig a shampoo about every 2 months. Pot-bellied pigs are very clean, and they love their baths. Another part of grooming a pig is keeping its hooves trimmed. Pot-bellied pigs are very smart. Their owners can train them. The pigs can learn to walk on a leash. They can even do some tricks, like learning to shake hands. But a smart pet can also get into a lot of trouble. These pigs like to explore with their noses. That means they might knock over wastebaskets in the house. The best meal for a pig is special pig food from a pet store. But like dogs, pot-bellied pigs love human food. Because they're so smart, the pigs can learn to open doors to find food. A pot-bellied pig can even learn to open a refrigerator door. Owners have to lock up food so their pigs cannot reach it. Some pot-bellied pig owners use the same locks that people use when there is a baby in the house.
The Lion and the Mouse. A lion lay asleep in a cave, his great head resting on his paws. A shy, quiet little mouse came into the cave and ran across the floor. Because the cave was dark, the mouse did not see the lion. Frightened, the mouse ran. But in his haste to get away, he ran across the lion's nose. The lion woke up. The lion laid his huge paw angrily on the tiny creature. "You will make a good meal," roared the lion. "Are you going to hurt me?" asked the poor mouse. "Please let me go, and someday I will repay you." The lion was so amused at the idea of the little mouse being able to help the king of beasts that he lifted up his paw and let her go. The mouse ran away to safety, and the lion went back to sleep. Some weeks later, the lion was roaming the forest. Suddenly, the lion found himself caught in a net. He struggled to get free, but the more he wriggled around, the tighter the net twisted around him. Just then, the little mouse happened to pass by, and seeing the lion's sad plight, he knew he could help him. The mouse went up to him and soon gnawed away the ropes of the net, freeing the lion. "I have helped you like you have helped me, and now I have returned the favor," said the little mouse. "Wasn't I right? Even a mouse can help a lion."
Games long ago. What games did children play long ago? Games long ago. What games did children play long ago? How are they like games children play today? Kids today have toys and games that children long ago couldn't even imagine. But kids still play some games that have been played for many years. Marbles is one of the oldest games of all. The first glass marbles were made in this country over 100 years ago. Children play them after their chores were done. Why have kids loved this game for so long? Small, round marbles are fun to look at and to collect. They come in a variety of colors and sizes. Marbles can look like cat's eyes or even bumblebees. Marbles are also fun to play. In one game, kids try to knock the other player's marbles out of a circle. The player who is first to knock out 7 marbles wins. Children have always loved to race against each other. Running and bike riding. Children have always loved to race against each other. Running and bike riding are 2 ways to race with your friends. But did you know that children also race in homemade cars? This was true long ago. It is still true today. Years ago, children raced in cars they built themselves from wood. These cars did not have engines. They coasted downhill until they stopped. The cars were called soap box cars. What does a car have to do with a box of soap? Soap boxes were made of wood years ago. Kids used these boxes to build the seat of the car. It rolled along on roller skate wheels. Kids today still build soap box cars. They work with their friends and family to make them. They still enter soap box races too. Families sometimes travel to races together. The races help build relationships in the family. Parents, brothers, and sisters help the driver get ready for the race. Then they cheer the driver on. The materials used to build the cars today are fancier than they were long ago, but one thing has not changed. The cars still coast downhill. They don't need power. Jump rope has been a popular game for hundreds of years. People didn't always use ropes for jumping, though. The people of early Egypt jumped Jump rope has been a popular game for hundreds of years. People didn't always use ropes for jumping, though. The people of early Egypt jumped over vines for fun. It was Dutch people who brought the game of jump rope to America long ago. You can jump rope alone or with friends. When friends jump together, two kids turn the rope so others can jump. The two kids turning the rope need to turn it in circles at the same time. They need to cooperate and work together. There are many jump rope rhymes. Here is one. My name is Annie, and my husband's name is Adam. We come from Alaska, and we sell apples. My name is Ben, and my wife's name is Betsy. We come from Boston, and we sell bananas. If you try jumping to this rhyme, see how far you can get in the alphabet without making a mistake. How is a kite like a doll? Give up? Children have been playing with both of these toys for over 1,000 years, and they are still popular today. Kite flying probably started in China. Chinese people stretch paper or silk over the stems of a plant called bamboo to make their kites. They flew them at the Chinese New Year and in the spring. Kids today still like to fly kites on windy days. In a park or at the beach, it is fun to see how long you can keep a kite in the air. The Native American girl in the smaller picture was photographed about 100 years ago. She is holding her doll. Then and now, friends have loved to play with dolls. They dress their dolls up and take them places. They act out stories with them. The first dolls were very simple. They were made from clay, wood, animal bones, and other things. Parents made them. They carved dolls from wood or made them from rags or paper. Today, factories make dolls and deliver them to stores. Dolls come in many shapes and sizes. There are dolls that can walk, talk, and open and close their eyes. There is a doll for everyone.
Rabbit and Coyote Race. A Pueblo Tale. If a rabbit and coyote raced, who do you think would win? Why? Long ago, Rabbit was sitting near a large cactus plant in the hot desert when Coyote came running by. Coyote stopped and greeted Rabbit. "Hello," he said. "What are you doing?" "I was thinking about how fast you can run," replied Rabbit. "I was also thinking that I can move just as fast by hopping." "That is not true," said Coyote angrily. "I can move faster than any animal in the land. In fact, I am the best at every physical activity." "Then let's have a race next week," said Rabbit. "You can run and I will hop, and we will find out who is faster." "I like that idea," exclaimed Coyote. "And to make the race even more exciting, the winner gets to eat the loser." "I agree with your plan," said Rabbit. But secretly he had his own plan. That night, he spoke to his family. "In order to beat Coyote, you will have to help me," he explained. "You can begin to race underground and get a head start. Then you can each pick a spot and wait there." He pointed to his brother. "When I get to you, I will be tired. You can pop up to replace me. Coyote won't know the difference." Then he pointed to his sister. "You can go even further. And when our tired brother gets to you, you can pop up to replace him." The rabbit continued in this way until he had included his whole family. Then they all raced off underground to wait. On the day of the race, Coyote and Rabbit met by the cactus plant again. "Are you ready to race?" asked Coyote. "Let's race," said Rabbit. You can run across the land as you always do. I will hop across the land as I always do. We'll race to the four corners of the land. We will see who is faster." And with that, the two began the race. Coyote ran east for several days. "I haven't had this much exercise in a long time," he thought. Meanwhile, Rabbit hopped behind him. At least, that is what Coyote thought. However, when he looked ahead, he saw a rabbit. "I'm winning!" yelled the rabbit. "I'm winning!" yelled the rabbit. Of course, Coyote thought it was the first rabbit. He didn't know that it was Rabbit's brother who had popped out of a hole. Coyote turned and began to run north. He ran north for several days. As he ran, he thought he was beating Rabbit, who was hopping behind him. However, when Coyote looked ahead, he couldn't believe his eyes. Rabbit was now ahead of him. "I'm beating you!" called the rabbit. Of course, Coyote didn't realize that this was Rabbit's sister. Now Coyote tried even harder. He ran west as fast as he could. He ran for several days. Once again, he thought he was beating Rabbit. However, when he looked ahead, Rabbit was hopping in front of him once again. "You are a slowpoke!" yelled the rabbit. Of course, Coyote didn't know that this was Rabbit's uncle. Turning south, Coyote tried to run even faster. By now, he was completely exhausted. When he finally reached the southern corner of the land, Rabbit was still ahead of him. Of course, Coyote didn't know that this wasn't the rabbit he had made the bet with. It was Rabbit's cousin. It took Coyote several days to limp back to the starting point of the race. When he finally arrived, Rabbit was already there. "I can see that the race was very difficult for you," said Rabbit, looking very relaxed. "I guess I can hop faster than you can run. Now come here so that I can eat you." Coyote felt ashamed. He knew Rabbit would not eat him, but he ran away as fast as he could, which wasn't very fast at all. That night, Rabbit's family gathered together. They laughed and laughed as they talked about the trick they played on Coyote. They knew that Coyote would never again brag about being the fastest animal in the land, and they were right.
Jobs around town. What jobs need to be done in your community? How do the people who have these jobs help the community? Think about the town you live in. Who helps to keep the community safe and clean? Who makes the buildings you live and work in? Who can help you find books and learn new things? Many people do these jobs. Construction workers help your community by building houses, schools, stores, and offices. There are many different kinds of workers on a construction site. There are workers who prepare the site. They may operate a truck that digs a big hole in the ground where the buildings will go. They may mix concrete in a big mixer for the building foundation. There are also workers who put up walls, doors, and windows. Still other workers put the wires into a building so it will have electricity. When all the construction workers are finished with their jobs, the building is ready for people to live and work and play in. It's astonishing how much garbage people throw away. It's astonishing how much garbage people throw away. They toss food scraps, paper, plastic, and other things. Garbage collectors help the community by taking all that garbage away. Usually, a driver drives the big garbage truck, and a garbage collector travels on the truck. Either the collector or a machine picks up the garbage and dumps it into the truck. This truck crushes the garbage to make it smaller. Then there's room in the truck for more garbage. What happens to the trash? Some of it is buried. Some of it is burned. Some of it is recycled.
Many things made of paper, glass, or plastic can be recycled. People put their recycling materials out in boxes or bags apart from the other garbage. Recycled material can be used again. Have you ever seen an ambulance driving down the street? Inside the ambulance are EMTs, emergency medical technicians. People in this occupation do a very important job in the community. When people hurt themselves or get sick, they call a special phone number. The operator who answers the phone sends an EMT to the house to care for the person. EMTs perform a special kind of aid called CPR to help people with their breathing. They help people who fell down to get up. They put bandages on injuries. EMTs bring some sick people to the hospital in an ambulance. First, they put the person on a special bed on wheels. Then they move the bed into the ambulance. Inside the ambulance, EMTs keep supplies such as bandages and medicine. They keep important equipment in the ambulance too. A stethoscope is one piece of equipment that an EMT uses. A thermometer is another. Your community even has a place where you can hear stories, find facts, and borrow books and movies. You can go to the library for all these things. A library has many books, but fortunately, librarians are there to help. Librarians help readers pick out the books that are best for them. Just visit the librarian's desk, and he or she will offer to find fascinating books about any subject you like. If you love dinosaurs, the librarian will make finding a dinosaur book easy. What else do librarians do? They decide which books, magazines, and movies to buy for the library. They make sure all the books in the library are in order. Librarians use a special system to keep the books in order. Each book has a special number that tells you what type of book it is. These numbers help you tell if a book is about art, rocks, birds, or a different subject. What other jobs are in your community? Look around. You will see all kinds of people helping to make your community a good place to live.
The Tortoise and the Hare, a fable by Aesop. A long time ago, there lived a tortoise and a hare. The tortoise was soft-spoken and shy, but the hare was loud and boastful. One day the hare boasted to the other animals in the forest about how fast he could run. "No one can run as fast as I can," he said. "I challenge anyone here to a race." The tortoise answered, "I will race you." All the animals were amazed, for they knew that the tortoise moved so slowly. The hare, too, could hardly believe his ears. After he stopped laughing, he said, "But you are such a slowpoke. I can beat you without even trying." "We will see," said the tortoise. The two decided to race the next morning. All the big and little animals of the forest were excited to watch the race. They all wanted the tortoise to win, but they didn't think he had a chance against the hare. The second the race started, the hare leaped forward and started running. He was soon out of sight. The hare laughed. "I told you I was faster than you," the hare called back to the tortoise. But the tortoise just plodded on slowly and steadily. When the hare looked back, he could hardly see the tortoise. He felt so confident that he was going to win that he decided to take a little nap. After all, it was such a beautiful day, and the sun felt so nice and warm. So the hare stretched out and fell asleep. Meanwhile, the tortoise continued to walk slowly but surely along the road. In fact, he soon walked right past the sleeping hare. As the tortoise walked on, getting closer and closer to the finish line, All the forest animals cheered for him. Then, just as the tortoise was about to cross the line, the hare woke up. "This can't be happening," he shouted. "I am the fastest animal in the forest." The hare began to sprint toward the finish line, but it was too late for him to catch up. And so the tortoise, slowly but surely, won.
The Three Little Pigs, a tale from England. Would you rather live in a house made of hay, sticks, or bricks? Why? Once upon a time, there were 3 little pigs who left home to live on their own. Each little pig set off to find materials to make a good house in which to live. As the first little pig walked along the road, he spotted a pile of straw. "I can make my house from this straw," he said. So the pig built himself a house made of straw, and he was very content. The second little pig soon found a bundle of sticks. "These sticks will make a fine house," she said. So the pig built herself a house made of sticks, and she was very pleased. The third little pig took more time to find good building materials. At last, he found a pile of bricks. "These bricks will make a strong shelter," he said, and he built a sturdy house. Soon after the 3 little pigs completed their homes, a hungry wolf passed by the house made of straw. The wolf saw the first little pig through the window and thought he would make a tasty meal. So the wolf knocked on the door and said, little pig, please let me in." The little pig looked through the keyhole and saw the wolf. So he replied, "No, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin." Then the wolf got angry and he said, "Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in." So the wolf huffed and he puffed and the straw house collapsed immediately. However, the first little pig wasn't there. He had run all the way to the second little pig's house of sticks. The wolf saw the little pig run into the house of sticks, so he followed him. This time, when he looked through the wolf saw the little pig run into the house of sticks, so he followed him. This time, when he looked through the window, he saw 2 little pigs. "These 2 little pigs will make a doubly tasty meal," said the wolf. So he knocked on the door and said, little pigs, let me in. I only want to talk to you." Both little pigs peeked through the keyhole and saw, of course, that it was the wolf. So they refused to let him in. They replied, No, not by the hair of our chinny chin chins." Then the wolf got angry and answered, "Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in." So the wolf huffed and he puffed, but the house of sticks was a little bit stronger than the house of straw. So the wolf had to huff and puff again before the house of sticks fell down. However, the 2 little pigs were no longer there, because they ran as fast as they could, straight to the third little pig's house of bricks. The wolf saw the little pigs run into the house of bricks and followed them. This time, when he looked through the window, he saw 3 little pigs. So he knocked on the door and said, little pigs, let me in. I only wish to speak to you." But the 3 little pigs answered right back and said, No, not by the hair of our chinny chin chins." "Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in," replied the angry wolf. So the wolf huffed and he puffed. He puffed and he huffed. Then he huffed and puffed again. But the brick house was stronger than the other houses, and he could not blow it in. Now the furious wolf climbed on the roof to go down the chimney. But the little pigs saw what he was doing, so they made a blazing fire. When the wolf started down the chimney, he felt the hot flames. He quickly hopped out of the chimney and ran away from the 3 little pigs as fast as he could. And the 3 little pigs lived happily ever after. The 3rd little pig even helped the other 2 pigs build sturdy brick houses of their own.
The Fox and the Crane, based on a fable by Aesop. That night, Crane arrived for dinner. "My soup is always delicious," said Fox. "You'll get a lot of nourishment from it, too. I hope you will like it." But Tricky Fox did not really want Crane. The next night, Fox was very hungry when he arrived at Crane's house. Crane had made fish stew. Fox got so frustrated that he picked up the jar and tried to pour the stew into his mouth. But the pieces of fish got stuck in the narrow neck. Fox could not get any fish stew to eat. "Why, Fox," said Crane, "you are not eating your dinner. Don't you like fish stew?" "Well, Crane," answered Fox, "if I could get some to eat, I'm sure it would be delicious." Crane did not apologize. She just smiled. Fox knew that he had been tricked, and he was not happy. He had tried to get a free meal, and his crafty plan had not worked. Crane had been even craftier. She had tricked Fox. But what could Fox expect? Wise people and animals know that he who plays a trick should expect to be tricked in return.
Animals in the desert. What kinds of animals live in the desert? How do they live there? Animals in the desert. What kinds of animals live in the desert? How do they live there? It's quiet and tranquil in the desert. The ground is covered in sand. It is very hot. Instead of trees, cacti and grasses grow. A large tortoise crawls slowly by. But most animals are not in sight. This may be because they are hiding under the ground or in the shade. It's too hot to spend time in the sun during the day. A desert is a habitat for many animals. When nighttime falls, many mammals, birds, and insects begin to roam around the desert after sleeping all day. It is cold at night. The snakes and lizards move underneath hot rocks to stay warm. Some of the desert animals, like the tortoise, live alone. Others live and help each other in a community. One of the animals that lives in a desert is the coyote. Coyotes look like small collie dogs. One of the animals that lives in a desert is the coyote. Coyotes look like small collie dogs with pointed ears and bushy tails. They eat many desert animals: mice, rats, insects, snakes, birds and eggs, and other things. They hunt day and night. A small number of coyotes live alone, but most coyotes live and travel together in pairs or in small family groups called packs. Being part of a pack helps the coyotes. A pack can find more kinds of food than a coyote hunting alone. And while it's usually a mother coyote that watches over her young pups, sometimes another female from the pack will help. Coyotes in a pack talk to each other by howling. They tell the rest of the pack where they are. They also warn coyotes from other packs far away. Coyotes in a pack will not tolerate strange coyotes on their land. The prairie dog is not a dog at all. The prairie dog is not a dog at all. It is a kind of rodent, and it is about the size of a rabbit. It gets its name from the sounds it makes, which are like a dog's barks. These furry animals live in the western part of the United States, including several deserts. Prairie dogs live in families in burrows underground. They dig the burrows themselves. Very large burrows are called prairie dog towns. The community of prairie dogs works together in many ways. They share food. They chase away other prairie dogs. They groom each other. They even kiss each other when they meet. Like coyotes, prairie dogs talk to each other. They make their sharp barking sound over and over to warn the family of danger. Some desert prairie dogs hibernate in the winter. Even in the desert, winters can be cold. The prairie dogs settle into their burrows and sleep there until the weather warms up again. Then their towns are busy again. You might not expect to find a barn owl in the desert. Barn owls that live near people will often make their nests in old buildings. But these owls do live in deserts. A barn owl in a desert can make its nest in a high, rocky cliff. A pair of barn owls will usually stay together all their lives. They work together to bring up their babies. While the mother owl is sitting on her eggs, the male feeds her. After the mother owl hatches her eggs, the mother and father owl both hunt for food. Little owlets are always hungry. They depend on their parents for food. The parents catch small animals, such as mice and rats, to feed the owlets. Before the owlets leave the nest, the owl parents teach them how to hunt for their own food.
Explore a coral reef. Imagine you're swimming near a coral reef. What animals might you encounter? First, you'd see the brightly. How do the animals that live near a coral reef survive? Like you and me and all other living things, it takes a very long time for a coral reef to grow. That's because a coral reef grows only about 1 inch a year. Think of how many years it took for the Great Barrier Reef to form. But today, coral reefs are in danger. Parts of many coral reefs have already been destroyed. Scientists think that many of the coral reefs will completely disappear. Why? People are not careful around coral reefs. They step on or touch the coral, which kills it. Sometimes they take the coral. People also fish for the animals that live in and around the reefs, which can damage the reefs and interrupt the food web. People also pollute the oceans with garbage, and the pollution can kill the reefs. What positive steps can you take to help protect coral reefs? Spread the word. Don't pollute. Suggest that people stop dumping garbage that can damage the reefs. Tell people to look, but to not touch when they explore the beautiful coral reefs. With everyone's help, coral reefs can survive.
Louisa's Library. Louisa's Library. How do you get your books? How does giving out books help people? In Colombia, a country in South America, children love to read books. But getting books when you live far away from a town with a library can be hard. Luckily, a man named Luis Soriano has come up with a way to bring books to some very small villages in Colombia. Luis is a school teacher in a small town. He enjoys books just as much as his students. In the house he shares with his wife and children, there are books stacked up to the ceiling. He believes that the children in his country should have books and a library, no matter where they live. For over 10 years, he has shared his books with children all over Colombia. You'll never guess how he delivers them. Luis doesn't throw his books into the back seat of his car or even onto a wagon. He delivers them on 2 donkeys. First, he straps small bookshelves onto the backs of his donkeys. They are named Alfa and Beto, after the Spanish word for alphabet, alfabeto. Then he fills the shelves with books and heads out to one of the 15 villages he visits regularly. Luis and his donkeys carry signs that say Biblioburro. That means donkey library in Spanish. It's a library on legs. Luis and his donkeys get up very early every Saturday and spend the day making sure children who live deep in the country have books to read. They cross over rivers and follow dangerous trails. They even fight off snakes and hot temperatures to bring children books. A few years ago, Luis broke his leg when he fell from one of the donkeys. But he was back to delivering books as soon as he healed. Luis knows that the children rely on him for getting new books to read. He won't let anything slow him down. The children in the small villages Luis visits know when he and the biblioburro are coming. They line up in the street and wait excitedly for the donkeys to ride into town. Under Luis's leadership, the children gather around and listen to him read from new books. In some places, they hold class in the street. Luis gives them lessons in different subjects and works with them to improve their reading skills. He even gives them homework to turn in during his next visit. Luis also has the children draw pictures and tell their own stories. Luis knows that reading and writing help the children make connections to the rest of the world. Of course, Luis also lets the children and their families borrow books. He brings as many different kinds of books as he can, so people can always find something that interests them. He even brings dictionaries and encyclopedias. The biblioburro is a library, after all. Luis started Biblioburro with only 70 books. He had to work very hard to make his dream of a donkey library come true. Now people all over the world admire Luis because of the biblioburro. Of course, people admire the donkeys for their hard work too. Luis couldn't have done it without Alpha and Beto. Movies and picture books have been made about Luis and the biblioburro. Now he gets books sent to him from as far away as New York City. With all of the donated books, he and his wife have more than enough books for their collection. They have started to build a real library in a real building near their home. Luis has inspired people in other parts of the world to give books to children who have no other way of getting them. So even though Luis has never left Colombia, he has helped children all over the world.
A hero on and off skis. What do you think makes... In college, Diana trained with the school's ski team, and her ski career became more meaningful when... Then Diana began to enter races that were not for disabled skiers. That was a big change. She proved that her skills... After some time, Diana stopped racing. She started a very special new job. She became a speaker. Diana inspired many people to overcome difficult things in their lives. She spent years traveling across the country and around the world. "I love speaking to people," she told one news reporter. "There was no gold medal at the end, but to succeed, you had to touch someone's heart." In 1997, Diana was voted into 2 Halls of Fame. She was praised for persuading the ski world to treat all athletes the same, whether or not they were disabled. A few years later, Diana set up a fund to provide money for young, disabled athletes. Diana was a hero to so many people in so many ways.
A boy named Martin. How can people help? Martin woke up very early the next morning. He put on his new clothes and ate breakfast. When he was ready, he sat in the living room. Martin Luther King Sr. was a minister. Every Sunday, Martin went to church and listened to his father. When Martin Luther King Jr. grew up, he became a minister like his father. He worked for fairness and respect, and he changed many things. One day, a woman in Montgomery, Alabama, refused to move to the back of the bus. Her name was Rosa Parks. She was taken to jail, but Martin knew she was right. Martin knew the move to the back of the bus segregation law was very wrong. He needed to find a peaceful way of changing it. One day he said, "If African Americans don't ride the Montgomery buses, the city will lose money. The people who run the city will think hard about the law. I think we should boycott the buses. We should not ride them." Martin and many other people refused to ride on the buses until the law was changed. They walked for miles and miles. Some people rode mules. It took more than a year, but the law was finally changed. This led to many other changes, and eventually, segregation was not allowed in restaurants, theaters, schools, or anywhere else. After the bus boycott, Martin rode the bus often. Sometimes he sat in the front, and sometimes he sat in the back. Many times he offered his seat to someone who needed it more, not because he had to, but because it was the right thing to do.
Map it. What kinds of maps are there? How can we use them? What kind of picture can show a whole country? Map it. What kinds of maps are there? How can we use them? What kind of picture can show a whole country? A map can. A map is a special kind of picture that people can use to locate places. There are many kinds of maps. This is a map of our country, the United States. Two other countries, Canada and Mexico, touch the United States. The lines on the map are borders, which divide countries and states from each other. This map also shows all of the states in our country. The states are different colors. Two states, Hawaii and Alaska, are pictured in special boxes called insets. This is because they are located far beyond the boundaries of the map. Which states in our country are the biggest? Which states are the smallest? What else can you see on this map? You can see bodies of water. The Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, and the Gulf of Mexico are all large bodies of water that surround the United States. Which is the highest? A mountain, a hill, or flat land? Which is the highest? A mountain, a hill, or flat land? A mountain is highest, as this kind of map shows. Look at the colors on the map. They show the height of different parts of land in the United States. The map also shows the oceans around our country and some of its big lakes and rivers. The map has a key. A map key gives information about the map and helps you to use it. This key shows you which areas on the map are flat, hilly, or mountainous. The purple areas show mountains, which are the highest kind of land. The green areas show lands that are mostly flat. The orange areas show hilly land, which means the land is raised and rounded. The blue areas on the map show bodies of water. Oceans, lakes, and rivers are shown in blue. Can you find mountains on the map? How can you tell this area has mountains? Take a look at Florida. Is the land there flat, hilly, or mountainous? What about your state? This map shows the whole Earth. You can see all of the continents. This map shows the whole Earth. You can see all of the continents. A continent is a very large area of land. Sometimes there are many countries on one continent. There are 53 countries in the continent of Africa. A continent may also have no countries. Antarctica, The continent at the South Pole has no countries at all. Earth's oceans are giant bodies of water that are all connected. However, we usually think of them as separate oceans. A compass rose shows the 4 directions: north, south, east, and west. North is the direction toward the North Pole. South is the direction toward the South Pole. If you are facing north, east is to your right, west is to your left, and south is behind you. Look at the compass rose. Can you find the continent that is east of Europe? Can you find the ocean that is west of North America? Which continents have you visited? Which continents would you like to visit? Another way of viewing the whole Earth is by looking at a globe. Have you ever used a globe to see the world? You can spin a globe to see all of the water and land on our planet. A globe is a model of Earth. Like the Earth, a globe is round. On a map, places look smaller than they really are. Imagine if you had to show a full-size mile on a map. The map would be much too big for anyone to use. That is why map scale is so helpful. This map shows imaginary towns that are close to each other and the special places in each town. Look at the map scale. This scale tells us that 1 inch on the map is equal to 1 mile. We can use a ruler to find out how many inches are between 2 places on the map. Then we can figure out the best route for getting from one place to another. Do you see where Raoul lives in the town of York? Do you see the stadium in the town of Branson? Imagine that Raoul wants to go to the stadium. How could he get there? You can measure the distance between the 2 places on the map. Every inch between the 2 places stands for a mile. How many miles is it from Raoul's house to the stadium? How many miles is it from the stadium to the airport? Imagine Raoul wants to go from the airport to the zoo. How would he get there? How many miles is it? Where else could Raoul go? How long will it take him to get there? Maps come in many shapes, sizes, and colors. They can show all of the continents on Earth or just a few streets in a town. Learning how to use maps can help us get from place to place.